काफी बड़ा परिवार है मेरा, यही संसार है मेरा। हर दिन मेरी कोशिश है इसे हरा भरा रखने की, कुछ कोशिश घर को मजबूत बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश घर को जीता जागता बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश बड़ों की सेवा की, कुछ कोशिश छोटों को बड़ा बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश नई दिशाएं दिखाने की, कुछ कोशिश उत्साह जगाने की। देश नाम है मेरे संसार का, इंडिया नाम है मेरे परिवार का, टाटा कोशिश जिम्मेदारी निभाने की।
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible, the Campus Edition 2022. It's time for us to get started. Please welcome your host, Ms. Rashmi Furtado.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible Campus Quiz 2022. We are midway into our journey of the new season of Tata Crucible, the campus version of course, and we have already completed 12 clusters, which means we have identified 12 winners who have moved into their respective zones. And today we're about to start our 13th cluster, the first wildcard of the 13th cluster, which if I'm not wrong is the Delhi cluster. Let me introduce our finalists of the day to you and then move into the rules of the game. Our first finalist for the day is Akash from MAIT Delhi. Following Akash is Kuber from MAIT Delhi again. Sushant from SSCBS Delhi. Gokul from DSC. Following Gokul is Srinivas from IIT Delhi. And completing the lineup for us here today is Pranay from NSUT Delhi. All right, all of them seem to be in a good mood, which helps when you're in a quiz like this and when you know that this is the only chance you have to qualify into that cluster final. Let me quickly get into the rules of the game and then into the wild card. 10 questions is what they have, all of them on the buzzers. Single attempt per question only, +1 if they get it right and -1 if they get it wrong. Top 3 scorers will qualify into the cluster final. Now this is very, very important. The wildcard is all about qualifying into that cluster final. That's the goal that they need to work towards. The rest of the rules are right there on your screen. You have 5 seconds of time to press the buzzer, else the question would be invalid and I will move on to the next question. The fair play protocols are also on your screen. They have been explained about all these protocols which we strictly follow here at Tata Crucible. And my dearest audience, the buzzer indicator light will not appear for you, although I'm here to let you know who has pressed the buzzer. So it's time for us to now get into the wild card and identify our top 3 scorers who will qualify into the cluster final. May I request all of you to move your phones into camera angle, please. The phones are essentially their buzzers. All right, good luck to all of you. 3 of you qualify. Remember that 10 questions is what you have. The first question from this wildcard, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Which of these banks was started as an initiative of the World Bank? Your choices, ICICI Bank or Kotak Mahindra Bank. Kuber, go ahead.
It's ICICI Bank.
+1 to you, absolutely right. ICICI Bank giving him a +1. Moving on to question number 2. In India, what does NSDP stand for in the context of domestic products? I'll help you out. Your options, net state domestic product or national sales of domestic products. So Sushant, go ahead.
National sales of domestic product.
Oh, taking a negative on that is Sushant. The answer I was looking for is net state domestic product. It's actually a counterpart of the net domestic product. The first option, which is the state domestic product, would have given him a +1. Moving on to question number 3. New India Assurance Company Limited was founded by Dorab Tata or the British East India Company. Oh, no one going on the buzzer. All right, 5 seconds of time is up. No one going on the buzzer there. Sorry, Gokul, you're too late. I said the time is up. You can try, but you will not get any points. Do you want to try? No? All right. The answer I was looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is Dorab Tata. Since Gokul was a little too late to press the buzzer, I cannot give him the chance to press the buzzer. But Dorab Tata, the answer I was looking for. Moving on to question number 4. Which aviation entrepreneur started his career in 1967 as a cashier in his maternal uncle Seth Charan Das Ramlal's travel agency? Gokul, go ahead. Quickly, Gokul, you're on the buzzer.
Vijay Mallya.
Oh, taking a negative. I think he buzzed. It was rush of blood. I'm pretty sure he knows the answer, but he took the wrong name. The answer I was looking for is Naresh Goyal from Jet Airways. Naresh Goyal, the answer I was looking for. And in fact, I think he started working with a salary of about rupees 300 per month. That was what his salary was. Getting a -1 on that is Gokul. Moving on to question number 5. Which of these companies is not a subsidiary of HCL? Your options: Action Solutions Limited or Datawave Limited. Oh, Akash, go ahead.
It's database limited.
Getting a negative on that is Akash. The answer I was looking for is Action Solutions Limited. The question was, which of these companies is not a subsidiary? That is what my question was. I was very clear with the question. Getting a negative on that is Akash. Moving on to question number 6. Chris Gopalakrishnan, Shibu Lal and Vishal Sikka have all been CEOs. Gokul, go ahead.
Infosys.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Getting a +1 is Gokul. With that, he negates the -1 that he had taken earlier. Nil is a good place to be in a wild card like this. Let's move on to question number 7. Skoll, Bubble Gummers and North Star are all brands of which company? Footwear brand or footwear company for an answer. Huge one from Czech Republic. Gokul, go ahead.
Bata.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Czech Republic, giving a huge clue there to Gokul. He worked that out from that particular clue. Very well worked out. Getting a +1 on that is Gokul. Moving on to question number 8. Here we go. Anant National University offers UG and PG courses in design and architecture in India. Which billionaire Indian businessman is behind this university? All right, I'll help you out. Gautam Adani or Ajay Piramal? Oh, no one going on this one either. Oh, Kuber, go ahead.
It's Ajay Piramal.
Getting a +1 on that is Kuber. Ajay Piramal, the answer I was looking for. In fact, I think it's better known digitally as Anant U. I think that is the positioning or the brand name they are going with. But Anant University, the actual name. Getting a +1 on that again is Kuber. And that +1 takes him to 2 points. Very good place to be in this wildcard. Last 2 questions of this wildcard, ladies and gentlemen. Let me quickly tell you where our contestants stand. We have Kuber on 2 points and Gokul on 1. Akash and Sushant are both on -1 each. Srinivas and Pranay are yet to score. If Kuber decides to keep quiet, I think he's pretty much through. Gokul also, unless someone else or two others get a +1 and force a tiebreaker, he will have to work his strategy out depending on what happens next. But at this point in time, all of them have an equal opportunity to qualify because I have two more questions remaining. So let's see what happens. The penultimate question of this wildcard. Costa Coffee and Georgia Coffee are owned by whom? Costa Coffee and Georgia Coffee. All right, I'll help you out. Pepsi or Coca-Cola? Not really helping out if you ask me. All right, time is up. No one going on this one. Nobody wants to bite the bullet. The answer I was looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola would have given one of them a +1. I see a couple of them nodding. I think they didn't want to take the chance, but had Coca-Cola at the back of their mind. Let's move on to the last question of this wild card. I'm going to explain a type of company. You basically have to tell me what type the company is, okay? The title of that kind of a company. This type of company is registered under Companies Act of 1956 and is listed with stock exchange, but has failed to file its returns with the registrar of companies and the stock exchange for 2 consecutive years. And it is not even maintaining its registered office. What is such a type of company called? Your options: disappearing company or vanishing company. All right, no one going. Okay, Akash, go ahead.
It's vanishing company.
Getting a +1 on that is Akash. But this does not, oh, this actually does help him because it puts him on the tiebreaker. So he took a chance and it paid off. Because of this, Akash is now on 0 and that puts him on the tiebreaker. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the tiebreaker, Kuber from MAIT Delhi with 2 points has qualified into the cluster final, and along with him, Gokul from DSE Delhi has also qualified into the cluster final with 1 point. But as of now, I still have to identify the third person who will qualify into our final. Currently on the tiebreaker is Akash, Srinivas and Pranay. Sushant ended up taking a negative, which is why he's not on the tiebreaker. But Akash, Srinivas and Pranay, I hope all of you are ready. These tiebreaker questions are just for you. The rules of the game do not change at all. They're absolutely the same. The only difference is that it is going to be a sudden death situation. What I mean by that is, if one of you get it right, you qualify into the cluster final. If you get it wrong, you're out of the tiebreaker and the other two will continue to battle it out. Okay? That's the only difference. The first tiebreaker question, ladies and gentlemen. What is the local currency of Brazil? Your options: lira or real. Pranay, go ahead.
It's lira.
Oh, taking a negative on that is Pranay. Real is the answer I was looking for. So Pranay is now out of the tiebreaker. He seems to be very sad about it. I understand. I completely understand. Let's now move on and figure out between Akash and Srinivas who will make it through to the cluster final. Continuing with the tiebreaker, second question. Zoop, which is ZOOP, is a brand from which company? Your options: Casio or Titan watches. Srinivas, go ahead.
Is it Titan watches?
Absolutely right. Srinivas getting a +1 on that is Srinivas. And with that, Srinivas from IIT Delhi joins Gokul and Kuber into that cluster final. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have identified our top 3 scorers who have qualified into the cluster final of the 13th cluster, if I'm not wrong, which is the Delhi cluster. But it's now time for us to binge on an audience question. Your question for the day. Vedika is a Himalayan spring water brand from Parle or Pepsi. Let me repeat that one for you. Vedika is a Himalayan spring water brand from Parle or Pepsi. Whichever platform you're watching this quiz on, go ahead and key in your answers in the chat box. If you're quick and correct, you will win a lot of exciting prizes. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Join me in the second wild card. We have to identify the other three who will join these boys into the cluster final. Stay with me and join me in the second wild card.
मिलावट का जमाना है जी। कितना पानी मिला है जी?
पानी प्योर है जी। आपकी दवाइयाँ सर जी।
थैंक यू जी। चलो कम से कम ऐसे में कोई दवाइयों पे सच्चाई का भरोसा दे, अच्छा तो लगेगा ना जी।
पर ये तो जेन्युइन है ना जी।
बिल्कुल भरोसेमंद है जी। It's 1 mg.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible, the Campus Edition 2022. It's time for us to get started. Please welcome your host, Ms. Rashmi Furtado.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible Campus Quiz 2022. We are midway into our journey of a new season of this quiz, and we have completed 12 clusters already, which means we have identified 12 winners who have made it through into their respective zonals. And today we are going to be going ahead with the second wild card of the 13th cluster, which is the cluster from Delhi. Let me introduce our finalists to you, and then we will get into the rules of the game. Our first finalist for the day is Rhythm from MAIT Delhi. Following him is Yadubansh from IIFT. Following him is Aryan from NSUT Delhi. Nikhil from SRCC. Shell from PGDAV. And completing our lineup here today is Gaurav from SSCBS. Unfortunately, Rhythm and Yadubansh couldn't join us here today. They couldn't make it, but the show must go on. And from the 4 of them here today, 3 will qualify into the cluster final. We have already identified the first 3 who have made it through. Now it's time for us to identify the second 3 who will join them into that cluster final. Let me quickly go over the rules, ladies and gentlemen, then we'll get cracking with this wild card. 10 questions is what I have for them, all of them on the buzzer. Single attempt per question only, +1 and -1 the scoring pattern. Like I mentioned earlier, top 3 scorers will qualify. 5 seconds is what they have to press the buzzer, failing which I will move on to the next question. The rest of the rules have been explained to them in detail already, so I won't get into it. The fair play protocols, of course, are right there on the screen for you. We follow them very, very strictly when it comes to Tata Crucible. And of course, my dear audience, the buzzer indicator light will not be appearing during the wildcard. However, I'm here to let you know who has pressed the buzzer. Ladies and gentlemen, time for us to get into the wildcard and figure out who will make it into that cluster final. The first question of this wildcard, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The Research and Development Center of Indian Oil signed an MOU for hydrogen generation technology with which institute at Bengaluru? Your options, IISc or IIM. Nikhil, go ahead.
I believe it's IISc.
+1 to you, absolutely right. Even if you worked out the answer from the clues that we stringed together in the question, that would have given you IISc. And I think that is what Nikhil did. Smart of him. Indian Institute of Science giving him a +1. Let's move on to question number 2. Named after a freedom fighter whose birthday falls on 15th of August, this pharma company started a factory in Puducherry, but now its headquarters is at Hyderabad. Which company am I talking about? I'll help you out. Your options are Dr. Reddy's Laboratories or Aurobindo Pharma. Aryan, go ahead.
Aurobindo Pharma.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Aurobindo Pharma giving him a +1. He joined the independence movement, but he was also a philosopher, spiritual and yoga guru. Let's now move on into question number 3. Moving on to question number 3. Airtel Payments Bank partnered with which insurance company to offer Smart Plan Shop Package policy? Your options: Bharti AXA General Insurance or Tata AIG. Gaurav, go ahead.
Bharti AXA General Insurance.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Bharti AXA General Insurance giving him a +1. Delhi is usually a high-performing cluster that we have. Even when we had the on-ground quizzes and now in the digital era, both the times Delhi has been high-performing. So let's see what happens. Moving on, question number 4. Kotak Mahindra Bank had proposed an issue of PNCPS to dilute the promoter's stake within permissible limits. This has been rejected by RBI. What is PNCPS? I'll give you options, I'll help you out. Perpetual non-cumulative preference shares or principal non-cashable proprietary shares. Shell, go ahead.
So the first one, perpetually whatever it was.
All right, the first option, which is perpetual non-cumulative preference shares, getting a +1 on that is Shell. If you have any knowledge on how a company raises its capital from the public and understand the issue of equity and preference shares, you will be able to work out the answer from this. I think that is what Shell did and he gets a +1 on that. Let's move on to question number 5. Oman India Joint Investment Fund 2 acquired a stake through a bulk deal on Indian stock exchanges in which bank? Your options: Axis Bank or DCB Bank. DCB is basically Development Credit Bank. All right, 5 seconds of time is up. No one going on the buzzer there, ladies and gentlemen. The option I was looking for is DCB Bank. Some of these questions are slightly more complicated probably, but they have been performing very well so far. So let's see what happens. Let's move on to question number 6. Moving on to question number 6, here we go. Which chocolate brand has launched single origin dark chocolate variants like Peru Dark Amazon, Venezuela Ebony Twist? Nikhil, go ahead.
I believe it's Amul.
Amul is absolutely right. Nikhil's knowledge on chocolates or probably Amul is very good. He fetches him a +1 and he moves on to 2 points. Very good score at a wild card like this. Let's move on to question number 7. The oil-rich Gulf state UAE finally started its first ever nuclear reactor named Barakah. This is started at Abu Dhabi and it's a joint venture with Emirates Nuclear Energy Corporation and which overseas organization? Your options: KEPCO from South Korea or Areva from France. Go ahead, Gaurav.
Areva from France.
Oh, taking a negative on that is Gaurav. He took his chances. That's how quizzers play actually. The answer I was looking for is KEPCO from South Korea. KEPCO is basically Korea Electric Power Corporation. Moving on to question number 8. Which Central University School of Management is going to be renamed as Atal Bihari Vajpayee School of Management? All right, I'll give you options. I'll help you out. Central University of Haryana or JNU? At a Delhi cluster, you must know this. Gaurav, go ahead.
JNU.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. JNU giving him a +1. 2 more questions remaining, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you where our contestants stand. Nikhil is on 2 points. Looks like he's safe. Aryan, Shell and Gaurav are all on 1 point each. 3 slots remaining in the cluster final. Let's see what happens. The penultimate question, here we go. Which of the following became the world's first large-scale chemical production plant to completely run on renewable energy? Your options: Evonik Industries or SABIC. SABIC is basically Saudi Basic Industries Corporation. A tough one for them here today. No one going on the buzzer. Time is up. The answer I was looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is SABIC. They are actually in talks to build one more just like this in Spain. So the renewable sources or the renewable energy is being used in Spain as well when they build this particular facility there. Moving on into question number 10, the last question of our wild card. Which Indian retail chain is owned by RKN Retail Private Limited of the Aditya Birla Group? Your options: Big Bazaar or More Supermarket. Aryan, go ahead.
More Supermarket.
+1 to you.
Oh.
Absolutely right. Getting a +1 on that is Aryan. And with that, Aryan from NSUT Delhi and Nikhil from SRCC Delhi both qualify into the cluster final with 2 points each. But as of now, we are getting into a tiebreaker between Shail and Gaurav, both of whom are on 1 point each. Let me quickly get my tiebreaker questions and then we will identify our third contestant who will qualify into the cluster final. All right, the first tiebreaker question, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Which of these laptop manufacturers have a build-to-order factory? Build-to-order. Your options are Lenovo or Dell. Shail, go ahead, quick on the buzzer.
Dell.
+1 to you, absolutely right. Dell giving him that much needed +1. And Shail from PGDAV joins Nikhil and Aryan with 2 points into that cluster final. I think he didn't even give Gaurav a chance to think. He was very quick on the buzzer. But hey, that is how you play a quiz. So Shail, Nikhil and Aryan have made it through into the cluster final, ladies and gentlemen. But now it's time for us to bench an audience question. Here we go. Columbia Pictures is a division of Sony Entertainment or DreamWorks. Let me repeat that question for you. Columbia Pictures is a division of Sony Entertainment or DreamWorks. Whichever platform you're watching this quiz on, go ahead, key in your answers in the chat box. If you're quick and correct, you stand a chance to win exciting prizes. So go ahead and try your luck. But ladies and gentlemen, before you do that, don't forget the cluster final is coming up and you must join us and watch the entire cluster final. It's going to be an interesting one. We hope to see you at the cluster final. You take care.
You gotta move it to the max. You gotta move it in the show. You gotta move it, move it, move it. Move it to the back.
The new Nexon EV Max moves you to the max.
Friends, put your hands together to welcome on stage Quizmaster Big Brain.
A big hello and a warm welcome to you. This is me, Pig Brain, and you're with me in the national capital of this country, watching Tata Crucible for Campuses 2022. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you go across the length and breadth of this country and then you come to Delhi. Remarkable quizzing culture, outstanding colleges, superb students. One of the reasons for that is actually because a lot of students from right across the country actually go into Delhi to study. It's one of those cities. Pune is one more, Bangalore is another. So you tend to have a far higher quality of quizzers because you've got some top bright minds from across the country going in there to study. It's only natural, therefore, that people who sometimes win at cities like this go on to win a national championship. That can be the quality of a final like this. For the moment, a quick word on the rules before we see who the six are here today who've come through all the grueling online rounds, the wildcards that you just witnessed with Rashmi Furtado, and now the final with me. We're in cluster number 13, and it's a long journey as we try and identify our 24 cluster champions. We've got 12 of them, so we're just crossing the halfway mark at the national capital and moving up north. And then we finish the northern terrain and move east. So we've come from south to west, and now we're in the north. So it's like a movement of, let's say, a wave that goes across the country. For the moment, of course, 5 seconds of time continues to remain the opportunity to answer a question. 75 the value as we celebrate 75 years of our independence. Plus 75 if you get it right, minus if you get it wrong. And at the end of 5 seconds, if you do not buzz, the question lapses. Only one attempt allowed per question. For the moment, that's the rules. They know the fair play protocols and they will play by it. Time for us to see our finalists from the national capital of our country. Qualifying as our first contender here today, representing MAIT Delhi, we'll welcome to our final, Kuber. Welcome to you. Neighbouring Kuber as our second contender from the prestigious Delhi School of Economics, representing them is Gokul. Welcome to you, Gokul. Neighbouring Gokul as our third contender from the Department of Management Studies at IIT Delhi, Srinivas. Neighbouring Srinivas from NSUT Delhi as our fourth contender, Aryan. Welcome to you. Neighbouring Aryan from SRCC Delhi is Nikhil here today. Welcome to you, Nikhil. And completing our lineup from the PGDAV College at the national capital, we have with us Shail. Welcome to you, Shail. Those then, ladies and gentlemen, are 6 finalists here today as we are about to begin the final at the national capital. Grit, guts, and glory. That's the theme for this year's campus edition. And the whole idea is to prepare you for the future, where in a post-pandemic world, you're going to require a lot of grit, a lot of guts, and that's what will give you glory. So these are simulations which prepare you for your future as you wait in the shadows to enter the corporate world. For now, the first frontier of our battle here today, from the national capital, it's time for you to find your grit. Here it is. Time for us, ladies and gentlemen, to pick action on the first frontier. Let's see where we find grit among these 6 wonderful finalists that we have with us here at the campus edition from Delhi. We pick action with the first question on your screens now. This gentleman, Frank Silbering, and his brother Charles started something in the 1900s. They even started specializing in their material and started clearing blimps which carried advertising messages in those days. They flew like planes. Gokul is giving it a shot. Which great brand?
Goodyear.
Gokul getting Goodyear absolutely right. He gets a 75. The first 75 of the Delhi final going to Delhi School of Economics. As we go to the next one, on your screens now. This company has become the first in India to commission a carbon capture plant What it actually does is it extracts the carbon dioxide directly from a blast furnace gas. And this happened as recently as September 2021. Which iconic company from the world of Tatas is leading India's way in this environmental initiative? Srinivas from IIT Delhi.
Is it Tata Steel?
Well played. Extremely well played. Jamshedpur will become the first city to do this, and Tata Steel will give you 75. Tatas are really leading India's surge in the environmentally conscious initiatives. Tata Steel going on the carbon initiatives. Tata Motors, which of course partners us here with Nexon, leading India's way in the electric vehicle domain. And it's a fascinating experience. I'm one of those who drives one. I'm not speaking out of context. Therefore, it's a sublime experience. You should try it. As youngsters, you should probably make your first car an electric car. That's a way to contribute to the environment. And let's move on. Two of them on 75. Delhi typically starting in a Delhi style. No one loses out on an opportunity as we go to the third one in the sequence. Here it is. This is Miyamoto, a brilliant creator and visualizer who gave the world Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Legend of Zelda, to just name a few. Which company did he do these for? Gokul's gone for it. Yes, Gokul.
Nintendo.
We'll give you another 75. Gokul's playing well. He's got another 75. Nintendo is absolutely right. As we go to the next question on your screens now. Play nice, but win is a fantastic advice from a great CEO and a leader in the tech domain, after whose name a great brand is named, especially today in the laptop space. But they're not only into laptops, but his family name or surname, Aryan's going for it. Yes, Aryan, what do you want to make of it?
Is it Michael Dell?
Extremely well played. He'll get a 75. Delhi starting strong. 4 answers, all getting cracked. As we go to the fifth, tough one. Let's see who cracks this one on your screens now. In old England, women were known as bread makers. And the word for a bread maker over a period of time became levidi. It came from a word like levage or something like that. Levity over a period of time morphed itself into another word which became a reference for a woman. What word actually means the profession of a bread maker? Gokul.
I'll go for lady.
A lady technically means a bread maker. Very good, 75. So we all learn at a Tata Crucible, the reference to a lady actually means levidi, which means a person who makes bread. Interesting history when you dive into all of these as we go to the next one on your screens now. What from the world of Google is this specifically? Someone's going, Aryan it is. Yes, Aryan.
Google Auto.
Minus to you on that. He'll lose the 75 that he got. He took a shot at it. This is Google Fonts. Well, tricky one there, and Google has so many. You can run a quiz on Google's logos, I think. Early days from the national capital here today. We'll tell you who's binging on the binge board, but all that on the other side of this very quick break. Stay with us.
एक सजेशन दूं जी.
क्या जी?
अपने टाटा प्ले के साथ बिंज ऐप ले लो जी.
क्यों जी?
आपके फेवरेट ओटीटी एप्स एक ऐप पे जी. मतलब नो अलग अलग पेमेंट, सिर्फ 1 सब्सक्रिप्शन जी. और 12 एप्स के सारे कंटेंट इजी सर्च पे. मतलब नो ढूंढना, ओनली देखना जी.
मतलब टाइम ही टाइम जी.
थोड़ा हमारे लिए भी निकाल लेना जी.
अब टाटा प्ले के साथ लीजिए बिंज ऐप.
So, ladies and gentlemen, early days here today from the Delhi final of Tata Crucible. But let me ask you an audience question at this stage. Of course, all you got to do is to key in the answers into that chat box wherever you're watching this quiz. You're quick and fast, you stand to win a prize. Here's your question. In the 1900s, at the Olympics, Great Britain won the gold medal. The event was held only once in the history of the Olympics. Great Britain has been the only gold medal winner for this particular sport. France were the silver medalists. Which event was this that happened only once in 1900 at the Olympics? Key in the answers into that chat box. You will be surprised when you hear the answers. But for now, let's get back to our teams on stage. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the final of Tata Crucible for Campuses 2022. We are in cluster number 13, which is at the national capital of our country. On the binge mode, here's the story. Binging early from the Delhi School of Economics is Gokul on 225. Srinivas 75 behind him. Aryan was doing well with 75, just lost out before the break. But I'm sure all of them will catch up quickly. As we move to the second frontier of our game, time to rely on your guts. Here it is. The scoring pattern remains the same, 75, 5 seconds the time, starting with the first one. Here it is. In India, a Tata company is going to be working with Airbus. They in fact do. And this is the first time an Indian private company will be wholly manufacturing aircrafts in India. Who is this Tata entity? Understandably, given Tata's expansions in the airspace, is now partnering with Airbus. Tough probing question. Clever move by the Tatas. They require a lot of aircrafts in the future. That also underlines their commitment to that sector. No one on the buzzer, 5 seconds of time going. It's Tata Advanced Systems, TASL, which will actually work in the space. They're very known for their aviation work, more in the fighter plane aircraft domain. Now they will be in the passenger segment too. As we go to the next one on your screen, 75 waiting for you. Here it is. This is a Google Doodle, a tribute to Dr. Venkataswamy. He started a famous hospital in 1976 in the eye care domain. Great man, great hospital, great initiative. Who are we talking about as a hospital? Nobody on the buzzer from the national capital. This is the revered Arvind Eye Hospitals. In fact, they're so revered that they've actually become a Harvard Business School case study and discussed at Harvard as a model of scale while keeping costs down. Speak of health and hygiene and wellness. Well, we're truly happy to have Tata 1MG, a strong advocate of that with us. And they are so particular about each individual being responsible for their health and hygiene and, of course, help them get there. As we go to the next one, from the Arvind Eye Hospitals, the next couple of questions are lateral thinking. You got to give me an overall answer. So you get multiple images and you got to string them together to one answer of coherence. On screen, first one now. These are all recent acquisitions by a startup. Are we talking of the Flipkart group or the Good Glam group? Someone's gone for it. Kuber it is. Go ahead, Kuber.
It's a Flipkart.
Oh, not Flipkart. They were in the news for one or two of them, but it's all now part of Good Glam. He'll take a minus 75. The wrong answers always are tempting ones, but he'll fall for that and make a mistake. As we go to the next one on your screens now. Which giant group in India would you associate to these products? Engage, Home Light Matchboxes, Sunrise Pure. Great brands from this company. They're also into biscuits, atta, everything that you can think of. Giant group in India. Hotel. Srinivas.
Is it ITC?
Oh, superbly played. He's really worked that out and worked that out well. He's got ITC absolutely right, and he gets another 75. He's inching closer to Gokul. The others will have to score and take their chances. Let's see if they do that on the next one on your screen. Here it is. All of these will lead you to a famous company with huge investments in India in the e-commerce space. Which giant in India owns all of these? Giant in the e-commerce space. No one's on the buzzer. 5 seconds running away quickly. Well, investment in India would have therefore eliminated Flipkart for you. The answer, and they're going to kick themselves on this, Amazon. Amazon is the answer that I was looking for. None of them going for the buzzer as we go to the next one on your screens now. These are all winners of a particular modeling World Cup. What is it? It's a very interesting World Cup. Anup Agarwal from India finished second. Tough ones. It's a national capital final, so I would keep the level a little higher than a lot of other clusters. These are also extraordinarily reputed institutions. Well, tough one. This is the Financial Modeling World Cup, and it's becoming extremely popular with youngsters like y'all. And I did think that it could probably be a good question to ask, maybe more a national final question than a national capital question. But nonetheless, the pressure begins to build as we move to the next one. Second half of our final here today. Let's see what you make of this now. We know them differently. They make a hell of a lot of money. Aryan's gone for it in a flash.
Tom and Jerry.
Well played. Extremely well played. The original names of Tom and Jerry were Jasper and Jinx. Today, the world knows these two money makers as Tom and Jerry. Well played. On to the next one on your screen now. It's 10 years and more, and this brand has been huge in India, maybe even more than that, maybe close to 20 years. What world record did Titan create by creating this watch called Edge? It was the world's dash watch. Aryan.
The slimmest watch.
Superb, superb. Aryan's beginning to claw his way up in this quiz. I think he's on par with Srinivas. I don't want to make that comment till we see the scores. I've got a couple more questions. Then I'll show you the scorecards. On to the next one on your screens. Lateral thinking again. Here it is. What's the common connection to all the CEOs of these companies? Nikhil's gone for it.
Indian origin.
Lovely. Oh, beautiful. 4 giants from the world. Twitter, Microsoft, Google, Adobe. All CEOs from Indian origin. Just explains India's growing power and contribution to the world of business. Superbly answered, Nikhil. He'll get himself a 75. Everyone's beginning to get on that scorecard. 2 more to go. 3 more to go, I think. On your screen, here is the next one coming up now. In Finland, certain people are given a traditional sword and a hat at a ceremony. The idea is that the sword and the hat symbolizes the freedom for research and for the fight for what is good, right, and true. What have you completed if you get the sword and the hat in Finland? Well, these are some really classic questions that will make you feel, oh wow, what a question. Nikhil's giving it a try. Yeah, Nikhil?
A PhD, a doctorate.
Superb. Oh, beautifully answered. PhD holders, when they complete their doctorate, are given this sword and a hat. Nikhil gets a deserving 75. I think the scorecard's going to be very interesting to watch. 2 more to go. Penultimate one in this round on screen. Here it is. The Mars family is an American family that owns major confectionery brands. Gokul's gone for it. Yes, Gokul.
Snickers.
Superb answer. Oh, that's a fantastic answer. One of the best known brands from the Mars stable, if I should use that term, actually comes from the family's favorite horse. And that brand happens to be Snickers. So the next time you grab your hand on a Snicker, you know that it's a horse's name that became a brand name. Final one in this frontier with Gokul looking good. I think the others are neck and neck. I'll show you that as we move to the scorecard after this question. On your screen, here's the last one in this segment. The 5-why philosophy is basically a root cause analysis methodology that was created by a famous Japanese automobile manufacturing giant. Their founder always said, ask the question why 5 times, and you will eventually arrive at the root of the problem. Which great engineering giant are we talking about that has made Japan and automobile engineering proud? They're very big in India as well. Is someone taking a chance? Srinivas is giving it a shot. Go ahead, Srinivas.
Is it Ishikawa?
Uh,
Ishikawa.
I want the name of the automobile firm.
Is it Ford?
Well, Ford is American. He gets a minus 75 on that. Ishikawa was one of the consultants for them. That's the reason I gave you a fair chance. The answer was Toyota. Toyota from Japan, Srinivas losing a 75. But how much of a dent is that 75 making to his tally on the binge board? We'll tell you on the other side of this break. We've got 1 round remaining. The national final, believe me, is not over. We've got 4 contenders for the title this time. Any one of them can win. More on that on the other side of the break. Stay with us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 2 frontiers of quizzing done here today. The battle is far from over. Before I show you the binge board, let me ask you a couple more audience questions. You know what to do. Just key in there, be quick, be correct, and you could win a prize. Here's your question. Let me keep it simple. We also got a lot of young school kids who watch Tata Crucible, so you could crack this one. It's not beyond you, in my opinion. Which great personality in this world would you associate to a book titled Theory of Everything? Which great personality would you associate to a book titled Theory of Everything? Key in your answers, and here's your next question. I've got one more for you. This company started out in England, specifically in London. 1760 would be the era. It started as a toy shop called Noah's Ark. How do we know this today? Key in your answers as we get back to our final from Delhi. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're with me, Pig Brain, watching the final from the national capital of our country, Tata Crucible Campus Edition 2022. Before we move into the final frontier, let's take a look at the binge board here today. Who's playing how? Well, on 300, Gokul from the Delhi School of Economics is looking good and solid. On 150 apiece, Aryan and Nikhil are right back. Aryan lost 1 or 2 early on. Otherwise, he would have been at a much better score than that. But he's on 150. Srinivas just lost 75. Otherwise, he would have been on 150 as well. So all the 4 of them for sure have a chance. Shayal will have to really play out of the skin, as would Kuber. For the moment, it looks like Gokul has a head up in the quest to be in the nation's top 24. If someone can stop him, it's going to be either Srinivas, Aryan or Nikhil, is my feeling. For the moment, we'll move into that final frontier. Quite literally, as the title would say, it's time to go for glory. Here it is. On the final frontier of this quiz here at Tata Crucible, time for us to salute and celebrate great contributors through 75 years of India's independence. Here at Tata Crucible, we celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav by celebrating contributors, brands, products, business tycoons, pioneers, all of it in our own inimitable way, by saluting their contributions through our questions. India's economy and India as a nation was built on the buildings, frontiers of economy, of stability, of growth, of progress. And the key contributors to that have been the business fraternity, the industry, and people and thinkers who've shaped the economic growth of India in 75 years. We salute them as we celebrate 75 years of this great nation. Not just that, they've laid strong foundations for the next 75 and beyond, which is why their contributions are truly, truly fantastic for this nation. All questions, therefore, are from India as a concept, and 75 the score. 5 seconds the time. If you're ready, all hands on the buzzer. Aryan, Nikhil get one right. They're going to put pressure on Gokul. But let's see how it goes as we start with the first one on your screen now. These guys disrupted a game that was played by people right across this nation. They are a unicorn in what is called the prop tech space. They raised more than 200 million in a last series of funding. They really disrupted a game where there were a lot of people who would do things for a charge in India. They've replaced all of them with a new concept. Prop tech unicorn in India. Nobody on the buzzer, 5 seconds running away. Everyone's playing it safe. The answer is simple: no broker. No broker was such an important concept for a country like India. 75 years of contribution by the brokers, and then came technology which disrupted these people. And all of them, of course, have got on to no broker and now know how to find value for their customers. As we go to the next one, on your screens now. Which company created this idea for India saying Sasta Sundar, health and happiness? It's an initiative which takes them a little away from what they've been trying to sell, from books to groceries to now health and happiness. Kuber.
Is it HDFC, I guess?
Oh, he's gone on HDFC, maybe life and so on. The answer is very, very simple. This time taking you on a wrong trip. But I said books and groceries. Why would HDFC do that? The answer is Flipkart. These are the game changers of modern India. He gets himself a negative on that one. And we move on to the next one on your screen. Flipkart acquiring Sasta Sundar recently. Time for us to move on to the next one. Kuber takes a negative. On to the third one on your screens now. Rani and Smriti are now important ambassadors of an important bank. Which of the following? Canara Bank or Equitas Bank? Woman rising in Indian sport. Nikhil's gone for it, yes?
Equitas Bank.
Is well played. Nikhil needed a 75. He's got a 75. He's beginning to close in on Gokul. I think he needs one more answer. Gokul may need one more to just stay clear. But we don't know how Gokul's going to play his strategy. We've got 3 more to go. And then we'll know who's going to go in from Delhi into the top 24 of the country. On the next question on your screen, here it is. This is the old logo of a very important and famous bank in India. From the world of finance in India and the private sector of banks. Which bank is this? Turns out to be a tough one. 5 seconds of time running away. The answer that I was looking for, ICICI. Not many know this old identity. Didn't last for too long before they changed it to another one. and 75 going a begging on that attempt. None attempting it. As we go to the penultimate question, the pressure is beginning to build. Aryan will look to get another 75. He'll be in the race too. Nikhil's on, I think, 225. Gokul is looking good on 300, but will need to wait the next question or win that on that. Penultimate question on your screens. Now, which group in India has entered into a memorandum of understanding with an investment up to 75 million in CureFit? Which Indian group? Nikhil has taken the chance.
Is it the Tata Group?
The Tata Group, through its now new giant in the making, Tata Digital, will give you a 75. Nikhil goes to 300. Gokul is on 300. It's SRCC versus Delhi School of Economics. One final question remaining in the national capital. What a finale we are witnessing here today. A huge clawback by Nikhil from Delhi. Gokul stuck on that 300 for a while. The final question will determine who goes through. Here it is. Infrastructure will change the future of India, said a former Prime Minister. Currently, the Indian Railways is constructing the tallest pier railway bridge in the world. In which state, known for its beautiful mountains and valleys in the northeast? It's Gokul versus Nikhil. Who's going to take a chance? Aryan's taken the chance. Oh, so we'll end up in a tiebreaker either ways. Yes, Aryan?
Is it Sikkim?
Well, not too far from there. The right answer would be Manipur. So he does not get that one right as we go to Nikhil and Gokul. But before that, let me just reconfirm on the binge board. Let's take a look at whether my mental math, oh yes, my mental math is right. Aryan's lost a 75 on that last one. Right thing to do. He would have finished with 225 had he got that right. So we've got Nikhil from SRCC Delhi on 300. We've got Gokul from the Delhi School of Economics also on 300. One question apiece to just the two of you. Whoever gets it right gets into the nation's top 24. Typical Delhi situation. Well, never easy to win in Delhi. Never easy to even compete in Delhi. Whether it's school quizzing or college quizzing, it's all the same. Tiebreaker to both of you. Hands on the buzzer. All right, I request the others not to press your buzzers. Just keep it down. I want only Gokul and Nikhil to play this one. All right. Question to you. This company was originally supposed to be named after its founders. The name would have sounded like More Noise. Gokul has gone for it.
Intel.
Intel. What is More Noise?
It's the founders.
Would you know their names?
Robert Noyce and Gordon Moore.
Oh, he knows everything. There is noise at his end too. We'll do retakes of that. But More Noise certainly helping him win this final. Gokul getting that absolutely right. So he gets that tiebreaker. Ideally, he should not allow the quiz to reach this stage. He knows that only too well from the Delhi School of Economics. He really allowed it to become too close for his own comfort, while Nikhil finishes a very worthy runner-up here today. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute pleasure, privilege and delight to introduce to all of you here today with me and to the millions watching Tata Crucible now, 7 million watching this over the last 2 years. That explains the equity of this brand. And that is thanks to senior leaders of the Tata Group, like our guest here today, who've patronized it consistently and believed a platform like this is important to nurture young India in the right way. A very senior member of the leadership team is the Group Government Affairs Officer at the capital from Tata Sons. He is a doyen of the industry in technology. He led many verticals and government initiatives that the nation is proud of. With over 3 decades of experience with the Tatas, a large majority of it with TCS, he is someone who's literally seen and shaped a large part of our industry in the last 35 years of the 75 that we are celebrating. Every time, despite their seniority, we've requested them for their time to be with us for you youngsters. Not once have they denied their time. Such is their commitment to a platform like this. Ladies and gentlemen, truly delighted and happy to have with us Mr. Chinmay Chakraborty. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and for your time. Truly appreciate it. You've got young India in front of you and listening to you. You've seen industry for a long time. I have a question to start with. The tough part over the last 2 years we've crossed. Tall leaders have stood up to it and said, okay, this is what we need to do in a crisis. Now, these are youngsters who are going to be entering the workforce. What's your message to them? What's the expectation going to be from these youngsters when they enter the corporate world? Is it a different corporate world they're going to enter?
I think we are at, right now, we are at this part of the curve. If you have seen it on the video from my side, I think the real learnings from 2 years of real hardship, and as they say, you know, when the back is to the wall, the best comes out of an individual. We've been through that phase. So as the young people in India come into the corporate world or they become entrepreneurs, and there are so many of them around the country, you have heard of the 100 unicorns. It is clearly a land of opportunity. India's decade or 2 decades, I think, is out there ahead of us. So welcome to the new India, where it is going to be very exciting. It is going to be indeed full of opportunities, not just to do work in mainstream corporate, but also to be able to carve out your own ideas and creativity and set up things on your own and, you know, solve the problems. As I say, that the Western world solved the problem for the first billion people in the world. And it is the onus is on India now to solve the problems for the other 6 billion or 5 or 6 billion that we have in the rest of the world, beginning with our own country. So look at problems, use the background of education that you all had to be able to deploy your minds to solve those problems. And indeed, as you solve those problems, emerges opportunities, both whether you are in a corporate environment, using creativity to, you know, do things for your company, or do it on your own and have your own startup. So opportunities are plenty. A social outlook to corporate work is definitely going to be the trend in the future, where companies who give back to society are the ones that are going to really have the equity of their stakeholders. That's the other trend that I clearly see going forward in the future. I've just participated in 30 exciting minutes of quizzing. Thank you to the quiz master, who's as eternal as he's always. And I was very impressed with the choice of questions which were around India and the 75 years and the next 25 years that we are going to embark upon hereafter. So congratulations to you and congratulations to the winners to get into the last 24. And it has been exciting for me, and I can assure you that it's going to be exciting for the next generation coming into mainstream India as you get into the workplace or you get into your garage to start your own setup or startup and then emerge from there. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chakraborty. That is so inspiring for these youngsters to hear. As we request you to stand by for the 2 honors that you will do digitally. Our runner-up here today, so near yet so far, but he really gave it a fight towards the end. Nikhil from SRCC Delhi. 18,000 to him as our runner-up here today. Well, in any market condition, that is good money. And he will pocket that currently as the runner-up. More importantly, I think a runner-up at Delhi is really a proud title to have, as is even a finalist at Delhi. It's not easy to be in the top 6. But ladies and gentlemen, moving into the nation's top 24, and if he plays with the calmness that he's played today, so I just get a feeling, he just went into a little bit of a quiet mode for a brief bit, like the middle overs of a match. He should not do that in the 24 top players of the country come in. But But for the moment, Clinical moving into the nation's top 24 as the Delhi champion from the Delhi School of Economics, Gokul. Congratulations to you. He wins himself 35,000. Well done indeed. And sir, one last word from you to our two champions, sir.
Well, I think you've crossed another milestone. Firstly, kudos to both of you, and you represent Delhi. This is where we work, and we are indeed proud of you getting into the top 24. I only want to wish you the very best. Just stay calm, collected, and you have a tremendous depth of knowledge, as I could see. Put it to good use and keep winning the next round and the next round, and wish you the very best in the finals.
Thank you so much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, after that remarkably close final going into a tiebreaker, well, at the end of the day, it was Intel which got Gokul through with 300 and the tiebreaker after that he cracked. But ladies and gentlemen, as we congratulate Gokul and Nikhil and the remaining four for getting into a Delhi final and excelling from there, from my end, from my young colleague Rashmi Furtado, we will be back with you with yet another cluster with all the entertainment and these lovely young minds from across the country quizzing in front of you. This is the campus edition of Tata Crucible 2022. Till we meet again, thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.